Welcome to the Sound Meets Sound podcast. My guest today is Emily Manzo, pianist, vocalist, composer, and arts organizer. Emily and I have known each other for many years, and it was so great to catch up with her and learn more about her journey. Enjoy!
I'm a pianist and composer and songwriter. I've always sort of added that one in there too. Educator. I really also started using this term of like relationship builder because of what I do for some of my earth trip, meaning how I make a living and support all of these artistic endeavors. So I really I'm a mom and I love the communities that I'm in and get to be a part of. And so I have my training as a classical pianist, but then that was a really long time ago at this point. And now I really enjoy more and more. I'm enjoying performing my own music, performing some music that's been written for me. So artistically, that's where I've arrived after like 25 years kind of doing this professionally. So
Right. That's great. Lots of good things I want to hear about. For the listeners,
cool.
Emily and I have known each other for a long time. And I even once house sat for her and her cats, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, amazing.
I forget, there was one or two of them had learned the trick of like in the morning, if you jump on your human's bladder, wake up and feed you, which was hilarious.
It's when we had Haruki and Jazzy. Yeah, I know. They were wonderful cats.
Yeah, they were.
They're both. Yeah, they've both.
Pour one out for those. Yeah, those are great kitties. I'm trying to remember how or when we met. I know I reviewed a lot of your songwriter shows and on my little blog. No, it was so those I loved those shows. They're so inventive and fun, and those albums are great. So but yeah, I'm trying to remember if we met through like the contemporary, classical, whatever you want to call it, scene, new music scene, or I don't actually remember.
I don't remember either now, except
So
just through
long
other
ago.
musicians. I remember being so helpful with my, I had a chamber group for many years till my turning,
Right.
that we performed as part of a series that I remember you being really instrumental in helping with that. We were doing this special concert around a piece that was written by our bassoonist, Katie Young, and it was at a church and collaborating with also one of my other favorite collaborators in the universe, Paul Rowley, who is a filmmaker. Yeah, it was so fun. That was such a great opportunity. So maybe we met around that-ish, I think.
Yeah.
In another lifetime.
Yeah. No. Yeah, because all of this would have been like between, I don't know, like 2009-ish, 8-ish, I don't know. And yeah, which I keep having to remind myself like 2009 was a long time ago. But
yeah. Okay, so even much earlier than those concerts.
yeah, or it might have
Cool.
been like early 2010s. Yeah, I have the worst sense of time. But anyway, enough about me. Yeah, so I was curious how these interviews usually go is I'm really curious to hear about like your origin story with music or in any other art form that you may be doing, and like songwriting and all that. but like, what obviously you probably started as a child and all that. And would you be willing to share your journey, origin story with us?
Cool. Yeah. I, uh, I started playing the piano when I was really young. We lived across the street from a family. This is in northern Maine. And coincidentally, there was this family, the Laumlers. Suzanne Laumler is actually a really fantastic, classically trained soprano. And she happened to be our across the street neighbor, which I always find just sort of interesting that we ended up doing that. But we like would dance around, and I just remember her figuring out on a piano how to play a song, and my sister wanted to take piano lessons, and so we started taking piano lessons. So it was really came about that way. And I always had great teachers in Maine, but we were, in kind of remote places. And eventually my parents were driving me to Boston to find teachers and figure out what next steps were. And um, it's amazing to me now. I really appreciate it as a parent, like all the things that they did to like make that happen. It was a lot of effort. And they say that they enjoyed it, of course, but I still just really appreciate it. It was like a lot. And they are not like trained musicians. My father's a really wonderful guitarist, sort of self-taught, and he has a band. um,
Nice.
and so this kind of like, music was always like all around, but my pursuit of like classical music and classical training was pretty different from others. Felt like that often, except for these sort of pockets in Maine where I could find chamber music and other piano teachers who were just excited to work with me. And so eventually ended up going to Walnut Hill, which is a high school outside of Boston, for the performing arts, and it has like 5 days of like good high school courses. And then it has a sixth day of school on Saturdays where all the students go to New England Conservatory of Music. And, we do the prep program there. I wonder if it's still set up that way. I think it might be. And that's where I studied with this fantastic teacher, Jean Stackhouse, who passed away a little while ago. And she ran the grad program for pedagogy there and got me into that, and then also connected me with Stephen Drury, who I studied with for a bit too. And he's really, I think, pretty well known amongst pianists and other artists too for his contemporary music focus. So, and he had this like real kind of like rock star vibe about him. Still does. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm talking about him like it was like leather pants, and it was just kind of like, so obviously it was appealing to me, but like artistically it was also appealing to me. It was a kind of conversation that was happening in his master classes, and or just like studio classes, that I thought was so exciting, and it engaged the composition program, and it was just really creative and wonderful. And I ended up going to Oberlin, and at Oberlin there was all these wonderful composers too, a lot of songwriting too. I think at the moment there, um, that's where I had started dating Brian Chase, who's in the drummer for the Yeah Yeah Yeah. So like his music stuff was starting then too. There's like this really kind of cool balance there. I'm just sort of naming that. I admire so much what Brian's doing now too, to kind of strike this balance of like, that really feels a lot of that generation. I was there with Claire Chase, and the International Contemporary Ensemble, was forming that kind of first phase. So there's just like a lot of great, like, kind of punk bands, like music happening at people's houses, and then really wonderful songwriting. Like, I remember seeing Karen when she was first writing some of her first songs, like really beautiful, like nice things happening. And then, but obviously like the rigor of classical stuff happening too, and the jazz program, which was fantastic, and the composition
Mm.
program there. So Oberlin was really like formative that way, and a nice collection of experiences. And then it just seemed like everybody was moving to New York, and so I did. And then I kept playing music, and kept getting asked to play in bands as well because I was interested in that. I played, I think, my first rock show at like kind of a good venue, maybe Bowery Ballroom or something, because
Wow.
yeah, it
Nice.
was something really. No, it was weird. It was like it was. Do you remember the band The Walkmen?
Yes. Yeah.
So Walter Martin, the keyboard player from that, was recording a bunch of bands, and he was sort of someone who started a band called the Little Fighters. And they asked me to play, and that's where I met
Oh,
Christy Edwards, who I had to do a project with. And my first show, so it was like at this big venue, and I played the gig. I had this like giant Elka Panther organ, I think, that they had gotten for me, which is like a very cool organ. And I
oh.
finished the gig. I was like, I thought it went pretty well. And then I found out later that my amp wasn't even on,
Oh
actually,
no. Oh,
which is,
classic.
oh, I don't know if you feel this way, Meg, but like, someone said this to me at one point, uh, after all my years playing music with so many people, like that there are people who can plug things in and turn things on, and there are people who can't. And, like it's like I'm not a fan of binaries, but like
Right.
that might be like a binary. And I haven't given up. I've become, you can train a person to like, know the steps and know the things. And I've learned a lot about
Right.
gear. I've learned a lot about putting things in. I do more with technology all the time, but like that's such a good example of how that's like not my strong suit. that that
Well,
that
at the
yeah.
Bowery Ballroom, it shouldn't really be up to you to turn your amp
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is so healing. Let's heal the wounds from of early music. I mean, this was like maybe 2003 or 4. Yeah. Thank
Wow.
you for that. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. And so
No.
also in that
Yeah.
time I was playing a lot of like contemporary music and stuff. Feel free to cut me off if you want to,
No,
or I
no,
can keep
please.
kind of.
Fascinating.
I'm
I
in my
love it.
20s now, right? And so then, like, I'm in New York. I'm
Right.
playing a lot of music. I'm playing a lot of new music. I'm involved with, like experiments and operas, asking me to, play all of their rehearsal stuff, and a lot
Oh,
of groups like that. I started working with Nick Hallett probably around then too, and then Nick eventually asked me to work with him on this. It turned out to be this pretty extensive creative process with Bill T. Jones, Arnie Zane Company. And so I was with them, I think, for 7 years um, in this trilogy that was created that Nick was the composer for. It involved Nick's music, of course, and also some Schubert excerpts. And it was this really powerful thing that I feel so lucky that I got to be a part of, to be in that creative process and then to tour with it. So
wow.
that was like my dance intro. Then I worked with some dancers, some choreographers. And somewhere in there, I was connected with Jace Clayton, who I have been. Oh, this is a fun story. Wait, I gotta have a story. Do you remember? Do you remember MySpace?
Oh yeah, I loved
Okay,
MySpace.
okay.
I'm still sad it's
Yeah,
gone.
so MySpace, I love this. I love this. So this wonderful person, Sonia, um, found the music that Christy and I were making. So Christy was my duo partner for many years. That's not a project that I'm involved in anymore, but we
Yeah.
were writing a lot of music. We had like a MySpace page, and this woman in Barcelona found us, and she was like, she was just this like amazing, she still is this amazing connector. And she said, well, why don't you know my friend Ben? You live in Brooklyn. I was like, yeah, I don't know. Why don't I know your friend Ben? And I mean, she was right. Like we love and Ben has a project called Baby Copperhead, and he's this fantastic banjo guitar player, songwriter. And he also had another project with Jace and a cellist. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on this fantastic cellist. It will come to me. Oh my gosh. So anyway, they had a trio called Nettle, and they and so through that, then Jace was developing another project called uh, the Julius Eastman Memorial Dinner. And we
Right.
made this recording with David Friend, who's a just incredible pianist and human. We made this recording, and it was on New Amsterdam, and so we've been touring that since that was recorded now for like, I don't know, 12 years or something like that. But I still
Wow.
love that, like, and Ben and I still collaborate. We've done a bunch of things here in New York, and I feel like he was a big part of our touring in Europe at one point too, in terms of contacts, and same with Sonia. So I just love that. And it's also like such a Spanish, I like this Spanish way of talking about MySpace, because she would say MySpace, like with the inflection on.
Yes.
So, my space,
Oh,
like it really like, I just think it's such a weird, like if that door hadn't opened, and I don't know, it's just interesting to think about that, because it's really like, um, yeah, those two people, to meet Ben and to meet Jace, those have been really big, and kind of representative of this, like, is it classical music? Is it more like what kind of venues are you playing at? What kind of thing are you putting together? Like those were kind of two spaces I'm still
yeah.
involved in a bit. So yeah, so that was kind of a big moment. And then I was writing a lot of music and on tour with Christy too, and we were on a German label um, called Klangbad,
Oh,
from
yeah.
which is the label that Jochen Ermler started, and he's the keyboard player from Faust. And
Mm.
so he has this beautiful recording studio that sits on the Donau and like takes electricity from the river to make is like a green kind of studio, which is cool. And we were there for many years making recordings and touring this circuit that a lot of people do, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. They're really wonderful venues that have like great government support and funding and wonderful audiences that are just really interested in music that sits a little bit outside. So a lot of experimental music and a lot of jazz ensembles go through that circuit as well. So we did that for quite a while, and then my son was born, um, and then
Yay.
yeah, a lot of things changed. So, um, and he's 9 years old now. So,
Wow.
yeah. And so
I
coming up this year,
remember
I have this. Yeah, do you remember when
I
he
remember
was?
it in just his little glasses and yeah,
Oh
just a little
yeah,
thing.
he
Yeah.
still has them. Yeah, I'll send you.
Oh,
I'll send you a photo.
yeah, I
Felix.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great
Hmm.
name. I love that name, Felix.
Thank
Happy.
you. Thank you very much. I know.
Yeah,
I'm pleased. Christy and I obviously thought a lot about that name. So
yeah.
yeah.
But
Um,
I think I interrupted you, but yeah, um, this right. Your son was born. Yeah, so yeah, as often happens, lots of things change when kids enter the picture, and yeah. So, oh boy, I have so many different threads I want to follow. But you said that
okay, good.
because
Yeah.
it's I mean I love that journey like we were talking about before on this podcast. every time I ask that question, I get taken on a really cool ride because every artist has like a different journey. And you were talking about doors being opened, and that leading to opportunities, and that seems like the thread for your whole career is and you talked about this too, like I can't remember what you said in your description of yourself, like people connector, or it seems like that makes sense for you because that seems like the whole trajectory of your career is like, I went here, I met these people, and that opened these doors, and I went here and I met, and that opened these doors. And I think that's a really cool journey, like, and a testament to people meeting you and being like, "Hey, want to do this? Want to do that?" Like that doesn't happen to everyone. you know? So it's a
Huh.
really cool journey where it's like you're it's very like the human connection in making music. So um, that's
Well, thank you.
I hope that didn't make you sound passive. Obviously, you're working your ass off, but it is very much, yeah, like uh, the things that move one's career forward or one's artistic journey forward are in the collaborations, and it's you just had so many cool collaborations. So
Thank
that's
you.
very cool.
Yeah, I feel really lucky. I feel lucky often about it because so much of this kind of stuff too is about timing. So like you encounter like the community that we encountered at Klangbad, I now know was like unique. We were really there at like a nice moment where the festival was up and running and doing well, and there was like um just financially there was some support there for them, and there was just like a lot happening
Right,
in this small but like really like eccentric, really like right up our alley kind of community. My chamber group went there too. Like they just like it's so cool to find spaces where you feel like fully actualized and like not. I've definitely over the course of my career, maybe because of how old I am and where this is kind of sat for me, I don't think that people starting out now in their 20s like have this experience at all anymore, where it's like I did have to do some explaining for a certain amount of time. I don't feel like I have to anymore because like our kind of it's still a very niche kind of community, but there's so many people who get it, who are like, okay, it's
right.
like a little bit like this, and a little bit, like, but I just always felt this kind of resistance around that.
Mhm.
Starting out of like, well, what are you? Like, what are you doing? Are you that, can there be um, a complexity there? Can you be okay with me, you know, playing this kind of music and also having this, and should they coexist and stuff? So yeah, I
Yeah,
felt really encouraged about that along the way too. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was in Europe quite a bit around that, Western Europe, in the like 2010s time, early 2000s,
Yes.
and I was always so envious of how much support artists over there get, like musicians. I'm like, seriously? And like I had a friend from Scotland who was like, "Oh, I recorded my band recorded this is like late 90s. Like I recorded an album and it's like, oh, how'd you afford that?" And he's like, "Oh, I just got a grant from the government." And I was like, "What? The government paid to make your like punk album?" So yeah, it is a very special. It sounds like Kongbad was a very special like moment.
It was, and then we met people kind of off of that in a really bizarre way. Like there was this guy who was he ran a factory um that produced bulletproof windshields for Mercedes Benzes. It's a very
Wow.
specific kind of factory. And he's like a classical music fan. He heard one of our shows, and then he just like wanted to have us perform at his like company party, at his like factory party. He's like, I don't know, I can give my employees like a nice pen, or I can like put on this kind of show.
All
So
right.
we performed many times. And sometimes it would sort of fund most of the trip that we were on to play this really weird concert that was sort of wonderful too, and like a lot of love in the room. And he would like make this concert happen like in his factory space, and they would build a stage and do all these things. So
Wow.
it's like
That's
weird stuff like
so
that
cool.
too. I don't know. There's a
Yeah.
lot of nice, like strange, musicians experience so many. I always feel so lucky to be like in that space and to have that, to have,
Yeah.
these really kind of wild opportunities that come up. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, it's often that one patron, quote unquote, or matron or whatever, who gives you
Yeah.
that one really good gig. And that, yeah, funds a lot of the rest of the.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I know there's because you need it. Like it's still, even with that kind of night, it was a really nice way to tour over there for sure. It's still, you have to get over there, get all your people over there and stuff. Yeah, yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's nice.
And traveling with gear and stuff, I imagine is very.
Oh, I travel so differently now. That's like definitely or, just when I am performing now, I'm so, we were traveling with a Wurlitzer and
Oh
we eventually
man,
left one over there. Yeah.
I think I remember.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
it's like
so many stories.
one of the. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really, I was quite fussy about the sound. Like it's a Nord. It's not great. I don't know.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's just maybe I'll end up at that place again, but the more that I'm playing out. So I am playing out more now. And I've
Nice.
written a bunch of music. Yeah, I would say like a, a brief summary of the past 9 years has been Felix was born, COVID, and like just a really big shift in music making for myself where I still, there are a few things when I get asked to do them, I will do them. Otherwise, I'm passing off kind of like the playing gigs that I used to do more frequently. So coming up, so actually coming up next month, I'm really excited about this. I'm playing with Sunny Singh. He has a record
Hmm.
release coming out. And this wonderful rabob player, and we're playing a drum. And so that's kind of fun. That's kind of a one-off thing that I haven't done yet. I'm excited about.
Cool.
And I met Sunny. I think I met Sunny through Arouge off top, who I played with for many years too. It's this
Hmm.
wonderful Pakistani singer. I think people really know about Arouge now. She's incredible.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
people are like taking their bras off at her shows, and she has a fragrance and stuff like that.
Wow. Nice.
I'm so excited about what's happened for Rouge. It's amazing.
Yeah.
She's such an amazing singer. What a voice! Like just like amazing.
Hmm.
So I met Sunny through Rouge. So I'm excited about that. The music has been really nice and really helpful. I've been listening to it in the past week, and like, it's a pretty intense time right now in our country, and it just feels so nice to be surrounded by um, this amazing music and something different too, to kind of, the outside of it. In November, I'm playing that the Julius Eastman Memorial Dinner is happening at Roulette.
Cool.
Um, I always get confused. We've actually named it two things: Memory Depot and Memorial Dinner, JEMD. Anyway, I can't remember what one we're calling it this time, but it's these two pieces by Julius Eastman, and then this kind of performance art element that is Jace's concept. And he's taking electronic samples, out of the pianos. Like he has like a feed of our sound, and then is like creating this other layer of electronics that's really beautiful. And we've been performing and touring that, like I was saying, for well over 10 years at least. And we haven't performed in New York in a really long time.
Mm.
So that'll be at Roulette in November. And then in January, I'm having the record release for this solo piano album that's coming out on Gold Bolus. And it has music that's been written for me by Mary Halverson, the guitarist,
Oh, yeah.
and Aaron Siegel wrote this set called Time and Water. That's also the name of the album. This really wonderful set of pieces that um, I've enjoyed playing so much. We recorded it last year upstate, and we've been mixing it, and it's getting in really good shape. So I'm excited about that. And we'll be playing at Roulette on January 27th,
Oh,
on this concert that has like bent duo, and also my friend Nama Tsabar, who's a visual artist, performance artist. She has a guitar that she's built, and this piece called Double Face, where the way that the headstocks are arranged, you have to be sort of hugging the other person in order to. There's like a duet guitar, and you have to sort of hug the other person, and it has like a
wow.
lot of really intense, amazing energy. So I've been trying to curate this program for a while, like this with her piece, and then Bent Duo is David Friend, um, and his duo partner Bill Solomon, and they have this really wonderful piece called Judy's that's going to be on the program. So I'm so excited about
Wow.
that. It's fine coming together. So yeah, some things are happening.
Yeah, I should say so. So this it's a solo album, solo piano album that you've created. Is that the first of solo piano album you've done, or have you done others of those?
I recorded, yeah, that's a great question. Because I completely, like, somehow in that summary of all the things I've been doing, I completely blocked out kind of a few major things. Not intentionally. They were really wonderful. So really wonderful, fulfilling projects. So I developed arts curriculum around the Chopin preludes, and I recorded all of the Chopin preludes. Um,
Oh, wow.
and so that's another solo recording that I have. And I worked with this wonderful recording engineer, Damon Whitmore, who I also am working with for this recording of Time and Water. So we're meeting again also after many years to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's another solo recording. Otherwise, yeah, in the classical space, for piano recordings, I have like chamber music and also art song.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah, so this I think
When was the Chopin? When did you release that?
like 2009 or something maybe.
I feel like I wrote about that on my blog,
Oh my
which
gosh,
is
thank you.
I'm
Why is
trying to
this so hard,
remember.
Meg? I mean, like I don't. It's so funny to me. I don't. I have to get a little more organized about this, but like already time is, are our lives linear? Maybe our lives are not linear, and it's okay. Um,
Yeah, definitely feels like time is like like an accordion folding in on itself sometimes.
oh my
Um,
gosh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because now that you mentioned that, yeah, I feel like I wrote, I must, I don't know. Yeah, honestly, like, um, I'm sure you can relate. Yeah, it feels like lifetimes ago, like, oh, that's back when I was, blogging, when people did that before Substack, So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's, and I feel like your journey that you've just told us about is so representative of like the New York musician. Like I feel like it's you're just doing so many different kinds of things And it's like, oh yeah, and I recorded all of Chopin Preludes. It's like, oh yeah, side note.
Which involved like a lot of, I mean, I had to lock myself in a room and like practice just to get I mean, I'm happy with the versions of them. They were very emotional pieces. I mean, they don't sound like, it's not like
They
the
sound like you.
go-to classical recording of those pieces, but like I really enjoyed it. And I liked working with, I got to do it in a few high schools where I went in for this kind of arts related programming, which is so
Right.
like I loved that. I guess some part of me thinks like, oh, I would do that again in a heartbeat. And I still teach so much of that music too. It just feels very connected to my personhood. But yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it about you, Meg, that that you had like like you've always been doing this kind of like reaching out and knowing about things. And this is like the way that you're quite the connector of, like
Right.
I feel like I'm properly crediting. I'm sure there are like
Oh.
actually so many, like if I dig through there now and I'm like, yeah, I think all these things happened, I'm sure. Because of
Yeah.
you, because of yeah.
Oh, wow. I appreciate that. I don't know, but I appreciate the compliment. For me, it all started as my sister was like, "You live in New York now. You need to go to more concerts." And she was like, "The only way you're going to do it is if
Oh,
you have an assignment." She's like, "So you need to start some
oh, cool.
blogs."
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's so helpful.
Yeah,
That's good
she's a good little
advice. I like
sister.
that. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, cool. And
yeah,
where is she? Is
yeah.
she on the
Well, at the time she was living in England, and then she lived in New York for a while. She and her
okay?
husband and I and our parents all lived in New York for a while. And then they're in Pennsylvania now, outside of Philadelphia. Her husband's a voiceover artist, and she's a
Oh,
visual
cool.
artist actually. But being a little sister, she's always just felt it's her job to tell me what to do. So she was like,
Oh,
"You
that's
need
really
to."
funny.
No, it's cute. And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. I should do it." And yeah, then I was already sort of hooked into the like new music community because my first roommate in New York was a composer at Manhattan School of Music, student Will Smith. And so not that Will Smith, as he says. And he's
Right.
in,
Yes.
yeah, he's in Colorado now playing the organ. But yeah, so it, I was on another podcast recently talking about because he also talks to a lot of artists, and it was like, oh yeah, we're part of the primary source generator. Like we're creating,
Yeah.
those blogs and this like primary sources of like, here's what the artists actually said, and you don't realize
Yeah.
until you've been doing it for a while. It's like, oh yeah, like I was there, and it was 20 years ago, and my record is one of the few written records about, that my blog about that, obscure concert that I saw in the Mercury Lounge or whatever, so it's
Yeah, no, it's so important. It's really
yeah, but at
important.
the time I was just like, oh, I'll just write about it for other people. So
Cool.
yeah, yeah. But what you were saying about keeping better track of it, this person, Matt Latham, he has his Pick a Disc podcast. He has a spreadsheet of every show he's ever attended,
Whoa.
246 of them, with the date and like all this other information. And I'm like, why the F was I not doing that? So, like my blog
Yeah.
is partly that, but I didn't write about every single show I saw. So, but that would at least help us like remember what we did. Like for you, it would be shows you
Yes.
played in, like a spreadsheet of like every show you probably couldn't even
Oh,
like,
that's so funny. That's really, really
yeah,
funny. Oh,
yeah.
that's hilarious. We were with Jace and David. We did like a little bit of a tour with this Julius Eastman project in Europe, and Jace has performed so much. He does many things, but he's also
Mhm.
DJ Rupture.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
so he couldn't remember. We were going to this weird town. I think this is where this came up, but he's like, he's been to so many places now. He had to Google himself and that town's name to be like, have I been here before? Which is like, I probably could, I
Oh,
could just use, Chat GPT to be like, please,
right.
let's get together. Let's get this
Just find my
together.
name in every, yeah, yeah. That's
Online.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I'd love something that's simpler. I guess Bandcamp I appreciate in a lot of ways. But like my space, something that just feels kind of like this arts thing, I would have an easier time keeping track of. The other social medias are just so tricky right now. It's really a
Yeah.
lot to take it. So much going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. MySpace really was like, I feel like just as much for the artists as it was for the fans, like it was just
yeah,
such a
totally.
great like combination of that. Damn Tom
Yeah, I
for
don't mean to
selling it.
make the whole thing coming back to just how much I miss MySpace.
It's
But maybe
come up and
it speaks to a different political time too, where it's just like, oh, we had the luxury to just like be hanging out in this whatever, and there wasn't,
right,
so much
right. Yeah.
seriousness going on. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
fortunate for that in some ways. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so you mentioned your teaching and the curriculum you developed with the Chopin, but you're still teaching, right? Like I know you had a pretty big studio, right? Back when I knew you, I'm back when I knew you. Wait, last time I saw
yeah,
you.
yeah, because also, yeah, your place was like up in the neighborhood where I was teaching a lot too, which was nice. So I remember being
Right,
able to get,
that's right.
yeah, yeah,
That's right.
totally. I have a very small studio now, really, just and I love it. I love teaching. It feels so nice, and I love my students, and I have a student who I feel particularly connected to who's like applying to conservatories now for oboe, actually. Just like
Oh,
extraordinarily talented. But she's been my piano student, since she was 5. And so, just that whole relationship of like being with a person from when they were in kindergarten, first grade, whatever, all the way through. It's just so special. So it's been hard for me to let go of that. So I try to make that work. But yeah, I work in fundraising now. I work for NYU Langone Health, and I'm on their frontline fundraising team in major gifts. And so that's kind of the day job. There are a lot of musicians in that space actually, which is interesting.
really? The
So
fundraising space?
oh yes, yeah. Which,
Oh,
when I look back on like what made me sort of well suited for it, I'm like, oh yeah, it's like a lot of fundraising going on there. Or if we're going to call it, relationship building, connecting the dots, feeling like you understand, you know, where people are at, which I also feel
yeah.
comes from education too. So, I would not be doing the job that I'm doing at the hospital if it weren't for my kid, and like just needing some resources. It feels very connected to being a parent, living in New York, having a certain cost of living, and
Right.
just needing something that feels like, okay, that's solved. Now I can like do all the other things, but too much chaos as like a single parent, to kind of
Yeah.
do the musician thing, which, I feel sad about. And I think about this too, of like, well, gosh, what if we just moved to Europe? Like this be a little more
Yeah.
subsidized, but maybe that's also not true anymore. Yeah. So yeah, I still really enjoy um, having some students, and maybe that's part of the sort of like, sunsetting retirement plan. I've always joked about just being the piano teacher that like everybody comes to me and like I just have like a soft dog that's on my lap. Like
Yeah.
I've never really been like such a dog person, but or maybe it's a cat, something just like,
Yes, some sort of.
and then people come to me, and then they, you know, that sounds kind of nice, you know. That's like out there, just like in
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
70s or 80s or 90s or whatever. Like that's what
Yeah,
I'd like.
I feel like that's a classic like New York fixture is the older woman who has the like
Yes.
apartment that everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, how'd you know? I've had it since like, you know."
Yeah. Yeah, I need that apartment first, but if
Yeah,
you
you
can
gotta
help
get
me
that.
find that.
That's the next step.
Yeah, first you get the apartment. Yeah, then you
Um,
get the dog. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I
But
remember at Columbia, there was a woman, I can't remember her last name. Her first name was Nancy, and she would have people over to her house. I think she was a pianist, and she she would have us over to like sing madrigals and stuff. And she was
awesome.
like, yeah, like 70s, in her 70s, and had this. It wasn't a glamorous apartment, but it was a big, kind of weird apartment on the Upper West Side that she had just had for, decades, and in a nice building. And yeah, but yeah, I'm like, I saw, I watched, went to a couple of her like singing sessions, and I was just like, this is what I want my crone era to be. And I'm also like destigmatizing crone. Like it's just a really cool old lady. I want my crone era to be
Oh
like
yeah.
this. But I need the apartment.
Yes. Yes. Totally. Totally. It's
um,
helpful. It's helpful to think about those things of like where I don't know. I mean, I'm 46 years old, and so I think about these
Me
things
too.
often of like, yeah, oh, hey, hello.
Oh.
Um, yeah, and it's an
Yeah,
interesting age to be. I've felt so since I turned 40, I've felt so settled into something. Like a lot of nice things happened for me. Like
nice.
a lot of really helpful shifts have happened, but it's also felt like this kind of settling in of like maybe I was like even from when I was 8 years old or something, I was like a little bit like a 40-year-old woman, you know, like like this feels this feels nice, you know,
You've arrived
like I've
at your
been
natural
waiting.
form. Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I've been waiting to go to bed early and like, I don't know,
Mm,
go to all these doctor's appointments and stuff. Not
right. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
waiting for that. Or for yeah, it's quite a few things I think too of like having a feeling of settling in of experience or
Yeah.
um yeah, it's just been really helpful. It's felt like a lot less like BS or something. To myself, I think I do less to myself that gets in my own way, which just feels really nice. So,
I'm right there with you. Yeah, it's fewer F's to give about what other people think, but also I'm just being nicer to myself. Like
yes, yeah, yeah,
it's like, yeah, and it is very cool to reach, yeah, mid 40s and be like, "Oh, I have a lot of experience behind me now. Like I'm low key an expert in certain things now, just because I've been doing it for a
yeah,
long time." So, and
yeah,
that's a
totally,
very, like, you get a lot of confidence. I've found from that. It's just like, oh, yeah, um,
totally.
yeah,
I really like it. Yeah.
yeah, me
I
too.
went to this Melissa Etheridge concert.
Nice.
You seen
That's
her
good.
play live recently?
No,
She's on tour
no.
with the Indigo Girls, right?
Wow,
Yeah.
nice.
And this was like a year ago now, right? But it was like so helpful to me. Um I don't know. I mean, she told it was at the King's Theater, you know, in Brooklyn
Mhm.
here, and um she told me that I'm a burning woman and I'm not broken. And I mean, she also told, you know,
Right.
the entire crowd that,
The
which I
entire
guess like Hugh Jack, like Hugh Jackman was there, you know?
Oh wow. Oh.
Yeah, and I just love that crowd, and I really loved her performance. I had no idea. I mean, my cousin's been telling me for years about how incredible she is, but like just as and
Hmm.
I love her music, you know, but that live
Yeah.
performance, whoo, it's amazing. That was a great concert.
Mm.
The Indigo Girls were great too. It was like
Oh, cool.
I think if again if like like the accordion compressing or expanding, if it were to expand actually only even just like a little bit of my decade of the 40s, I know that looking back on it, like I will think about that Melissa Etheridge concert and like
Wow.
how like it smelled kind of like peanut butter crackers and Tide, and you know what I mean? It was like very like it was very wholesome, really nice, and like the average age was like, oh, I don't know, the average age was like, oh, like everybody was reading the Miranda July book. That was the average age. Like everybody was reading that book. Like all of us
Right,
in like
right,
right like that book, like that was the median. Like
right, right. Oh,
that
that
was
sounds
really
great.
affirming. Yeah, it was great. It was
Nice.
great. So I see that they're still on tour. I just want to
Okay,
plug
well,
them on your
maybe I'll catch him in
for sure.
California. Yeah, yeah, no, that's, I mean,
Yeah,
I've listened to her music, but I didn't, that is, it's an interesting thing that, you know, that magic where a recording artist can be a good recording artist, but then they can also be a spectacular live artist.
yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
that's it's not always the case that a recording artist is going to
No,
put on a great show. So, um,
yeah,
yeah, that's really cool.
yes, so
And
good.
yeah, the day job thing, I totally, yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't have any kids, but I really needed health insurance, and I was like, you know what?
Yes,
And I feel very lucky that I stumbled into publishing. A friend was just like, "You're looking for a real job, right?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess so,"
great.
because I was the
Yeah,
organist at church in Manhattan for a long time, but I didn't have health insurance. So yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah, so I feel
Oh,
like
I know. I've thought about like, I don't know, looking into how can I put like more of my community members like on my health insurance? Like I want to fix that
right,
for people, you know? It's like, can I
yeah,
adopt my friend? Like I just want to I feel like why is that a thing? Why is this so yeah,
I
I
know,
know.
I know,
It's important.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad you have that. Okay, so yeah, you have a
Yeah, I have a
stability there.
yeah. But yeah, or you marry someone who's has a really high paying job, which respect. I mean, I have friends who are musician friends, artist friends who, are married to someone who has a lot of money. And they didn't marry them because they had a lot of money, but it just turned out that their partner ended up, making a lot of money. And yeah,
Right.
Matthew and I look at each other and we're like, one of us should have been a surgeon. Like, why are we both musicians? That was a terrible decision. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding, but yeah,
Oh, it's tricky,
it's
isn't it?
yeah. I don't
Yeah.
think that many non-artists appreciate that. Very, very few of us are doing this without some kind of separate gig to fund
To
it,
support it.
essentially. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. It's hard. It's really tricky. And then I just continue to know how valuable it is and how important it is to me and to sustain
Hmm.
it in whatever way um I can. So yeah, yeah, it's the struggle. Struggle is there, but yeah, I feel fortunate in
Yeah.
many ways too.
I like that perspective on it is like, I've got this important thing to do with my life, and I'm going to do what needs to be done to make it happen. And if that means, having a day job, then that's what will happen. Yeah, I like that. Like, almost like, I have this child that I want to support, and, take to the doctor and stuff. So I'm going to do whatever it needs to
Also
happen.
that.
So
Yeah,
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 um,
totally.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I feel that. I think,
yeah.
yeah, and I found for myself, everyone always asks me about time then, like, how much time do you have then to really practice and prepare or whatever? And I can't believe how much time I used to have. And I don't know if I always spent it so wisely, like I think now I can like, really hone in on like this needs to happen. This is how much I can get done in an hour, and it has to be enough. And then just to get in shape, whenever I'm like doing more play, I mean, my kid ends up being on his iPad probably a little bit too long, but like we do we do things, right? Or like it takes a
Yeah.
lot of reorganizing, or finding pianos and everywhere, or just lugging my keyboard everywhere so I can keep playing whatever it is that we're doing. So yeah, I think that I feel a lot better at focusing my time and being intentional about like, you know and I felt that through COVID too. We were doing so many things, and then I would always have this like 15 minutes that I give to myself at the end of the day. So I have all these recordings that like I made during that time, which are now this project Triangle Tower, which I invited you to. This project I have
Oh,
with Shayna
yes.
Dunkelman. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Triangle Tower stuff is like all these things that I made during COVID, and there are a few new things now too. Where the timestamp on like my garage band, MP3 output thing is like, 8:59 every night or something like that. It's like before I was like
Right.
wrapping everything up. And then I would take it and I would go for a walk and listen to it before I
Wow.
went back home. So it's like this like weird ritual that I had during that time. But I think knowing that and being like, well, that adds up to something actually, to like kind of, I ended up writing a lot of music that way, even just with 15 minutes. It's really not ideal, you know. When people tell me about like going to an artist residency, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like now I'm finally ready for that. But I think for a while I was just like so intimidated by like, what would you do with like a week?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
after
Yeah.
after the again, another accordion kind of thing of like
Yeah.
how do you work within that and focus within it. So yeah.
So that triangle time, you said you were in GarageBand. What were you doing in GarageBand? Like, how were you building the tracks and all that? How did that work?
Oh yeah, I make a lot of stuff in there. Just to kind of torture myself sometimes. I think I was trying to figure out I was trying to figure out what I wanted instrumentation wise sometimes, or just like to develop a song and have because I really wasn't collaborating with anybody during that time musically.
Yeah.
And so I started having a few friends that I would trade tracks with. And I still do,
Cool.
actually, people who just like send me things, and then I'll listen to it, or I'll layer something on top of it, and send it
Nice.
back, which is such a nice, kind of strange way to communicate with people. And yeah, but I was just like making stuff that um, have vocal layers on them, which has kind of gotten me into trouble. So it was helpful to have this recent performance at Maba Minds to like kind of realize that w- music. And I worked with Jeff Cook, who's this great recording engineer, and he helped me build out these like backing tracks, because some of the
Mm,
stuff that I wrote during that time just has like a lot of vocal layers on it, which like
cool.
if performing it live, I'm like, I can't sing all those parts, and like
Right.
um so that's been kind of, and a lot of keyboard layers and things that like, now that I'm trying to do them live, are a fun challenge. And Shayna's so amazing. I feel like I've only really scratched the surface of working with her, Shayna
Hmm.
Dunkelman.
Hmm.
She's incredible. percussionist and, multi-instrument. She can do so much stuff, and it's really intuitive and wonderful. She said something so powerful to me once. We were getting ready we were playing the balcony bar series at the Met Museum. Have you been to that before? It's like that little, it's like kind of informal. It's nice.
Yeah.
And we were putting together a set for it, and of some, some cage, some other thing, some instrumental music that I'd written to. And we were practicing, and then she was like, "Is it perfect enough for you yet?" I was like, "Oh, so
Perfect.
helpful. What a helpful thing to say to somebody. Is it perfect enough?"
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and she's just great. Like, and she'll be helpful with like being decisive, and just like she has a
Yeah.
good sense of what's going on and what the vision is, and like where we should shift our priorities to. So I really
Yeah.
value her as a collaborator.
Yeah, that's an important talent to have as a musician, is because you could technically, with any kind of thing that you're practicing or writing or performing, like you could just work on it forever,
Yeah,
like, and at some point you need to say like, this is perfect enough now. Like,
exactly. Yeah. Are
that's
you
a good
polishing an
sense.
already shiny object? Yeah.
Right, exactly. Are you just wearing it down now?